Welcome back to the MakeForms tutorial series. In this video, we'll walk through the Date Picker field. The Date Picker field lets users type only valid dates in a fixed format. It auto-corrects days above 31 and months above 12, so every date stays clean and consistent. Now let's see how to set it up. From the field list, drag the Date Picker field into your form. Rename the label so it matches your question. For example, you can change it to Select Your Appointment Date. Now let's look at the basic settings for this field. At the top of the settings, you'll see the Required Field toggle. Turn this on if you want to make sure the user selects a date before submitting the form. If they try to submit without picking a date, MakeForms will show an error message and block submission until they select one. Below that, you'll find Helper text. Turn this on if the user needs a little guidance on how to choose a date. You can add a short note like, select your preferred appointment date. You can show this helper text as a small info icon where the message appears on hover, or display it as a visible line under the field. Choose the style that fits your form layout. Next, you can control the date format. This decides how the date is shown to the user once it is selected. You can choose from these available formats based on what your team prefers. For example, if your chosen format is month, day, and year, then any date selected from the calendar will automatically appear in that format in the field. Right below the date format, you can choose the separator. This defines what symbol appears between the day, month, and year. You can switch between a slash, a dot, or a dash, and then the same date will update accordingly. There is also a setting called Start of the Week. This option lets you decide which day the calendar begins with. For example, if you choose Wednesday, the calendar will start from Wednesday instead of the usual Monday or Sunday. When the user opens the calendar, the first column will begin with Wednesday, followed by Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and so on until the week completes. The next setting is Pre-select with current date. Turn this on if you want the field to automatically show today's date when the form loads. The user can still change it to another date if needed. You can also limit the date range so users can only pick dates within a specific window. Simply choose a date range from and a date range to. These two settings define the earliest and latest dates a user can pick. For example, you might allow selections only for the next 15 days. In that case, you would set today's date as the date range from and the date 15 days later as the date range to. Users will only be able to choose dates within this 2-week window. If someone types a date outside this period, the form will show an error message. Now let's look at the advanced settings for the Date Picker field. Turn on Repeat this field if you want users to add more than one date using the same field setup. When you enable it, you'll see a box where you can set how many times this field is allowed to repeat. For example, if you set the limit to 2, the user will see one date field by default and an Add More button below it. They can click the button to add a second field up to the limit you set. This is useful for capturing multiple visit dates or event preferences without creating separate fields. Turn on Mark as sensitive data when the date you're collecting shouldn't be visible to everyone on your team. Once enabled, the field's value becomes protected, and only team members with the appropriate access inside MakeForms can view it in the Responses section. The default value setting lets you pre-fill the date picker with a specific date. You can use this when you already know the expected date, such as a fixed event date, a deadline, or a start date. When the form opens, this date is already selected. The user can still change it unless the field is disabled. Disable field turns the date picker into a read-only field. When you enable this, the user will see the date but won't be able to change it. Hidden field lets you collect a date without showing the field to the user at all. When you turn this on, the field is not visible in the form, but its value is still submitted with the response. You can also link the date picker to a query parameter in the URL. Just enter a parameter name, for example, date. When you share the form, You can add this parameter to the link, along with the date and the format you've chosen for the field. When someone opens the form using that link, the date picker will automatically load the value passed through the query parameter. Finally, you can mark as unique if you want each submitted date to be unique across all responses. Once you enable this option, you must enter an error message that will appear if someone tries to submit a date that has already been used. For example, if another user tries to submit the same date, they will see error message. That's everything you need to know about the date picker field in MakeForms. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.